Okay. All right. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's get ready to rumble!
So this is November 2022. Let's see how you guys do. Frequently asked question. All right, not bad. Only 18 people got this wrong. Now, the section of the book that talks about the rights that are protected in Grundlagen. There are many rights. Well, not many. There's a handful of rights that are protected in Grundlagen. I'd suggest that you go and make a list of those rights because they could ask about any one of those rights. In this case, they're talking about freedom of expression. So for the people that got this wrong, now you know what you don't know. That is a question that you definitely need to know the answer to. On to the next one. All right, round of applause. This was once a current affairs question in 2021. It's now become history and it made it into the book in 2022. Only 10 people got this wrong. Well, now you know what you don't know. All right, like I said, Tanka is number 1 now. He's probably going to stay number 1 until the end of this session. I would like to introduce you guys to Tanka. Tanka is basically the superstar from May 2023 season. He had been practicing for ages. Of course, he passed the test. And I think he has already applied for his citizenship. And he's back now just to have some fun. And this is just to emphasize that you guys should have fun, okay? Come here. Let's play the game. It's a bit competitive, I know, but have fun. Figure out what you don't know. The purpose of these cahoots is to point out your knowledge gaps, okay? So if you don't do well, it is not an indictment on your intelligence. It's not an indictment on whatever. It's just showing you what you don't know, okay? So don't feel bad about it. We're moving on to the next one. All right, so 12 people got this wrong. By the way, round of applause for everyone. For the 47 people that got this right. For the 12 people that got this wrong, the explanation is this. In 1933, there was a settlement called the Kanzlergeld settlement. And the backdrop of this is from 1929 to 33, there was the thing called the Great Depression. So the economic crisis that happened in the US that spread throughout the world. The stock market crashed. People went broke and people lost their jobs. That also affected Denmark. And in Denmark, at the time, Thorvald Stauning was the prime minister. And he was one of the main stakeholders that came up with the Kanzlergeld settlement to help to create, to milden the effects of the economic crisis on Danish society. The reason it's called Kanzlergeld Forlig, which is the Kanzlergeld settlement, is because Thorvald Stauning's office was on Kanzlergeld. All right, moving on to the next one. Okay, so it looks like Tanka made a mistake. He's completely out of the top 5. Leica is now at number 2. Sanutus is the highest climber, up 13 places. Wow. All right, we have 42 questions to go. So 12 people got this wrong. So the way it works is this: if the name of the king is Frederick, the name of his first son is always Christian. And if the name of the king is Christian, the name of his first son is always Frederick. So whoever is the next in line is either called Frederick or Christian, depending on the name of the person's father. So that's the pattern. So keep that in mind, the 12 people that got this wrong. On to the next one. Tanka is back in the top 5. This was a brand new question. The rest of them were frequently asked questions. A lot of people messed this one up, but let's see how you guys do on this. All right, so as you can see, this is a major weak point. 36 people got this wrong. Sorry, guys. I can't even say this guy's name, Sven Speck-Egg or something. He basically invaded England and took over in the 10th century. All right, we're moving on. All right, so a whole bunch of people fell out of the top 5. Taka is now back at number 2. Leica is holding that number 1 spot. Luca at number 3, Lily 4, and Shona at 5. 11 players lost their answer streak of 4. Sorry, guys. Next one. Frequently asked question as well. Okay, 18 people got this wrong. So Niels Bohr won a Nobel Prize in 1922 for a model of the atom. You have to know the answer to this. This is probably going to show up in the next test. So for the 18 people that got this wrong, now you know what you don't know. Okay, next one. Tanka is back at number 1 as predicted. Leica at number 2 now. Luca, Smiley Face, and Lily. And Eli is the highest climber, up 9 places. On to the next one. Okay, so Venstre is the party that has had the prime ministerial post for the longest period since 1901. However, the Conservative People's Party had the longest reigning prime minister. He was in power for like 11 years. Forgotten his name. Is it Paul Schluter or I can't remember the guy's name. I don't want to give you guys wrong information. But by the way, all this stuff is in the book. Sometimes I might make mistakes with some of the details, so I am not the holy grail of this. Please make sure you cross-check the information in the book, okay? On to the next one. Leica back. Lily is back with an answer streak of 3, and she's on fire.
This girl is on fire.
All right, next one. This is a brand new question, or was a brand new question. All right, so between 2020 and 2021, the average age of men, the average lifetime of men was 80 years old. Between that and that same period, the average lifetime for women was, I think, 87, 83, something like that. Can't remember. But this was new information that was added to the book, and it showed up in the test. There are rumors that there will be a new book published by the end of this month. I still haven't seen any new book, so we are assuming that the exam is based on the book that's currently published. However, if and when the new book is published, I will make that announcement in the group, and you can go ahead and get the book. All right, on to the next one. 3 players reached an answer streak of 3.
Excellent.
Next one. Okay, so 26 people got this wrong. Nordisk Råd is the organization that is basically coordinates the partnership amongst the parliaments in the Nordic countries. This is a frequently asked question. So basically you need to know the answer to this question. So whenever I say something is a frequently asked question, that means it's a question that you definitely need to know the answer to, so that if it shows up in the next test, you know the answer to it, and you can just move on. Okay, on to the next one. Also frequently asked. All right, 10 people got this wrong. So Denmark used to own some islands in the West Indies that was used for, I think it was sugar cane. So they actually, Denmark was involved in the slave trade at the time, and they had bought some slaves from Africa and moved them to the West Indies and put them on those islands on sugarcane plantations. And in 1917, those islands were sold to America. All right, on to the next one. 6 players have reached an answer streak of 3. At the moment, we have Tanker at number 1, Lily at number 2, Leica at number 3, Shona and Smiley Face at number 4 and 5. Next one. Frequently asked question as well. All right, so 7 people got this wrong. This is definitely a question that you need to know the answer to. This question has shown up like 8, 9 times, if I'm not mistaken. In the 1943, so this was during World War II, the Danish Jews were taken over. They were taken in boats over Öresund to Sweden. And this was because Sweden was a neutral country, so they didn't take sides with anyone. And that way, most of the Jews, the Danish Jews, were actually saved. All right, for the 7 people that got this wrong, now you know what you don't know. Next one. Static top 5. Mercy is back with an answer streak of 3, and she's on fire.
This girl is on fire.
On to the next one. All right, only 6 people got this wrong. So in Denmark, there has to be an election once every 4 years. However, the prime minister has the power to call an election before that deadline. And case in point, this actually happened in the most recent election. Matthew Frederickson actually, she called an election before it was, the election was actually supposed to happen this year, but she called for it in November last year. And she won, actually. Well, the Social Democrats increased their mandate by 1 seat in parliament. So that was a very successful election for her. 6 people got this wrong. Now you know what you don't know. On to the next one. Okay, so Anna's making a comeback with 3 in a row.
Excellent.
Frequently asked question as well. All right, so 15 people got this wrong. In Denmark, power is split 3 ways. And in Grönland, it's decided that the power is split between the government, the parliament, and the courts. However, each of those entities have different powers. The government has executive power. The parliament has legislative power, and the courts have judiciary power. So they have the power to judge cases. That's why the courts exist. For the 50 people that got this wrong, this is a frequently asked question. It can come out in different forms. You will definitely be running into another form of this question as we keep on practicing. All right, we're moving on to the next one. All right, so because of the war in Ukraine, there was a national compromise to increase the budget for defense. And this is because Russia attacked Ukraine. And well, we all know the story behind that. This is one of the questions that had never shown up before. It was one of the new questions, the new information that was added to the book because the new book was published at the time. So I'm saying all of that to say this. Usually, if there is new information in a book or in the book when it's published, then it's highly likely there's going to be a question about that new information. However, I will be going through the book again, and I'll be updating all the quizzes on the website to reflect that new information. All right, on to the next one. Tanker number 1, Shona number 2, Lily, Lani, and Kurt. Someone fell out, can't remember who. Benjer is making a comeback with 3 in a row, and he's on fire.
Oh my! He's on fire!
Next one. New question. All right, so I can see this is a weak spot. Round of applause for the people that got this right. "28 people got this wrong." So Dansk Folkeparti was created by Pia Kjærsgaard in 1995. And it was a breakout party from the Fremskridtspartiet, which doesn't exist anymore, actually. And they got elected into parliament for the first time in 1998. this was a brand new question that had never been asked before. However, they had asked when, I think, when was Dance for Petit created? So, for the people that got this wrong, now you know what you don't know. Keep that in mind. Static top 5, not much is happening. 3 players just hit an answer streak of 8.
Excellent.
You've got 30 questions to go. All right, so 22 people got this wrong. The biggest city in the Faroe Islands is Tórshavn. I can see a lot of people answered Nuuk. Nuuk is the biggest city in Greenland. And sometimes there is a question about the biggest city in Greenland. So for the people that got this wrong, you know what your mistake is. Keep that in mind. All right, on to the next one. Sonia is back in the top 5. 3 players just hit an answer streak of 9.
Excellent.
Next one. Frequently asked question. So, the plague or Black Death happened in the 13th century, and it killed about, I think, half of the population of Europe or something like that, either a third or half. This is a frequently asked question. Let's see, 30 people got this wrong, so this is way more than half of you got this wrong. Please, this is one of the questions that you definitely need to know the answer to. Okay, so if you got this wrong, please take note of this and make sure you get it right the next time you see it, because you will see it again. Next one. Static top 5. SJPD is back with an answer streak of 3.
Oh my! He's on fire!
Next one. Bear in mind, this is November 2022. All right, so the answer is yes. And the answer was only started being yes in June 2022, when there was a referendum that scrapped Denmark's reservations about taking part in the EU's defense policy. 6 people got this wrong. Round of applause for the 50 people that got this right. All right, next one. Lily is on fire. 18 correct answers in a row. That's 100%.
This girl is on fire.
All right, well done.
Excellent.
Next one. This is from chapter 4 with the authors and actors and artists, musicians. This is a new question. So, this is an example of what I was saying. New questions, a lot of the new questions come from that chapter. And as you can see, a whole bunch of you got this wrong. So this is a weak spot. Make sure you go to that chapter, make a list of all the individuals that are mentioned there, their works, and what year those works were either created, published, or movies or whatever, when they premiered. So make that list, okay? there is a quiz covering all that information. Well, there are quizzes covering that all that information. Matter of fact, let me show you. So let's see. Chapter 4 or 5. Yeah. So you see literature, 53 questions, sculpture and art, music, architecture and design. This is performance arts and film. So this covers everything. Okay, so if you can run through these quizzes, like I always recommend, keep doing the quiz until you get 100%. Move on to the next one. We've covered everything. It's chapter 5, not chapter 4. All right, moving on. Next one. All right, 5 players reached an answer streak of 3. We're getting to the halfway point. This is a frequently asked question, so you need to know the answer to this. All right, so it's Yon Utsu. This is a frequently asked question. 18 people got this wrong. You definitely need to know the answer to this. So this is a weak spot. Okay, plug that knowledge gap. You will be seeing this again. All right, Lani has moved up to the podium at number 3. At the moment, we have Tanka, Shona, Lani, Lily, and Sonia. Lilia just hit an answer streak of 4.
This girl is on fire.
All right, moving on to the next one. Frequently asked question as well. Okay, 8 people got this wrong. So make a list of the responsibilities of the state, the commune, and the region, because there could be questions about any one of those entities and their responsibilities. Moving on to the next one. Static top 5. Steph is the highest climber. This is also a frequently asked question. All right, so 9 people got this wrong. Yes, so towards the end of the 60s, the younger generation began to question the traditional norms in Denmark. And things like traditional marriage, the family structures, and so on and so forth questioned. And people started doing things that were actually what's the word now? I keep mixing up Danish and English in my head. So they were basically breaking with the norms at that time. Moving on to the next one. Static top 5, so not much is going on. And as expected, Tanka is at number 1. Shona at number 2, Lani 3, Lily 4, Sonia 5. H is the highest climber up 3 places.
Perfect.
We are at the halfway point now. So if Tanka lights on fire and he has 100% and he's at number 1, then he gets an explosion. Let's see if that happens. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
All right, round of applause. I actually thought that that more people were gonna get this wrong. But yeah, you guys did well. 15 people got this wrong. Now you know what you don't know. This was a brand new question. Actually, I'd never seen this question before, and when I saw this, I was confused. But Greenland was part of the EU when Denmark joined the EU, but they left. The Faroe Islands, I can't remember exactly what the details are, but like I said before, all the details of these things are actually in the book. So please read that book. Okay, on to the next one. All right, Abdullah is back in the game, 3 in a row, and he's on fire.
Oh my! He's on fire!
We are past the halfway point now. (1864). Denmark lost the Second Schleswig War, and they lost Sønderjylland as a result of that. And however, in 1920, after Germany lost the First World War, they were reunited with Sønderjylland. So this is a frequently asked question. This is a question you definitely need to know the answer to. About 13 of you got this wrong, so please get to know the answer to that. Sonia, no, it wasn't Sonia. Shona fell out the top 5. So at the moment, actually, no, we're not at question number 25 yet. So 6 players reached an answer streak of 5.
Excellent.
Next one.
Uh-oh.
Let's see how you guys do on this. Okay, not bad. Only 14 people got this wrong. So Denmark's biggest, well, one of Denmark's biggest trade partners is Germany. And Germany is the only country that Denmark actually shares a land border with. So that makes sense. 14 people got this wrong, not too bad. Now you know what you don't know. This is semi-frequently asked. I think it's shown up in 2 tests or something like that. All right, so Lily is on fire, has a streak with 25 correct answers in a row. Wow.
Wow!
Round of applause. And this one is for Lily.
This girl is on fire.
All right, well done. Next one. Let's see how you guys do on this. All right, so can the same person be prime minister in more than one election period? And the answer is yes. Case in point, Mette Frederiksen. She has been prime minister since 2019. There's been 2 elections so far. So that should have been a no-brainer. This is a frequently asked question. The 9 people who got this wrong, please make sure you plug that knowledge gap. You are probably going to see this again, but moving on to the next one. Lani has a streak with 26 correct answers in a row.
Wow!
Now, this just goes to show how good Tanker is. So 2 people below him have 100%. They both lit on fire, and he's still above them. So, round of applause to Lani. Let's see if anything happens with Tanker. Second most frequently asked question. So you definitely need to know the answer to this. So when did Kronlund come into power? (1849). Round of applause to the 51 people who got this right. The four people who got this wrong, the question is, when did Denmark's constitution come into power? You're definitely going to be seeing this again. This question has shown up in like 11 tests or something like that. So you're going to run into this again. So hopefully next time it's 100%. Next one. Static top 5, 6 players reached an answer streak of 4.
Excellent.
Still in the history section of the book. Okay, so there is a formula that you can use to remember this. It's 4-4-5. So there's a Folketing election every 4 years, communal election every 4 years, and European Parliament elections every 5 years. So 4-4-5. Keep that in mind. The 10 people that got this wrong. Okay, 4 years Folketing, 4 years communal and regional, 5 years European Parliament. To the next one. Static top 5. This was a combo breaker. 3 players dropped the answer streak with 3. Sorry, guys. Next one. FAQ as well. Actually, this was the first time they asked where it was, not how high. So semi-FAQ. This was one of those curveball questions that some other people got wrong. So let's see how you guys do. Okay. 23 people got it wrong, 33 people got it right. It's an Ostjulen. This was the first time this question showed up. It was a new question, one of the new questions in this test. So this is the reason why I say go through all the quizzes. So when you're taking those quizzes on the website, you will see some of them marked as appeared in 1 test, appeared in 2 tests, appeared in 3 tests. And some of them will say potential new question. Okay, so the name of the game is make sure you know absolutely every single one of the questions that have appeared in any test, and also make sure you practice all the potential new questions so that when they do show up, or if they do show up, you know the answer to it. All right, on to the next one. Static top 5, 4 players reached an answer streak of 6. Question number 30. Read the question slowly. Okay, so the question is, who was Denmark's first female prime minister? This is a frequently asked question. You're definitely going to be seeing this again. First female prime minister in Denmark was Helle Thorning-Schmidt. However, there also is a question that asks for first female minister. So this is the reason why I say read the question slowly, so you understand exactly what the question is asking for. The first female minister was Nina Bang. She was Undervisningsminister, and she was appointed by Thorvald Stauning in 1924. So please, be careful. Read the question slowly. Read the answers slowly. Make sure you understand what the question is asking, and then go ahead and give your answer, so that you don't mess this whole thing up, because actually I messed up. Let me give you a bit of a story. So this is 2019. I was in the test. I was excited. My emotions were up. I read a question super quickly. I saw the date 1849. I didn't even bother reading the question slowly. I looked at the answers. I saw Grundlov, and I marked Grundlov. But the question was actually asking, up until 1849, what was the law in Denmark? And that's how I messed up that question. So please don't make that same mistake. Read the question slowly. Understand what the question is asking, and then go ahead and answer. All right. Benja is making a comeback with 3 in a row.
Excellent.
We've got 15 questions to go. Yes, this is also FAQ. All right, more people got this right than I expected. Round of applause. Okay, so only 11 people got this wrong. Stounsbund was created in 1733, lasted 55 years, ended in 1788. Anyways, I can't remember, man. Don't quote me on that. Just check the book. The point of this was back in the day, the nobles, so the people that owned the land, pressured the king into creating this law so that they would keep their free labor. And the law was basically the content of the law was that if you were born in a certain region, you couldn't leave that region up until you were 40 years old. And you couldn't actually leave that area, that piece of land up until you were 40 years old, thereby securing that whoever owned that land had free labor. That was abolished in 1788, if I'm not getting that wrong. And I think there is some monument in Copenhagen that signifies that. But anyways, yeah, I can't remember all this stuff. I haven't read the book recently. Don't quote me on any of this stuff. Please do your own research, cross-check. All of this stuff is in the book. Okay, so none of this stuff is like cryptic or anything. You can actually see it in plain text in the book. So please read the book, do the quizzes. All right, static top 5. There's not much going on in this top 5. Round of applause to everyone in the top 5. Okay, so we are almost at the end of the history part of this. There's 4 questions left. We'll move into current affairs and then into Danish values. This is frequently asked. So the ombudsman that's appointed by the Folketing is some kind of authority that watches over. So it's supposed to be an authority that watches the public authorities' case handling to make sure that there's no negligence or kind of foul play when the public authorities are handling cases to do with the public, obviously. So they're kind of like a go-between. So they are the people that you can complain to if, say, e-learning skills or some other public authority, you feel that they haven't handled your case properly. And they are an independent body appointed by the Folketing. 13 people got this wrong. This is a frequently asked question, so you're definitely going to be seeing this again. On to the next one. Amelia is back in the game with 3 in a row, and she's on fire.
This girl is on fire.
All right, next one. Yeah, hopefully you all get this right. Let's see. I'm surprised. 23 people got this wrong, 32 people got it right. I'm surprised that the ones of you got this wrong. So there's the 17, that's what they call them, the UN 17 goals. And well, obviously the organization is the United Nations. In Danish, Foreninger Nationer. And there's not much else to explain about this. There are what's those things called? Hold on a second, let me Google these things. So UN goals. Yes, so they are the 17 goals of sustainable development by the United Nations. And they cover several areas like quality, climate, education, poverty, and so on and so forth. That's what this question is about. And they're asking what organization is responsible for those goals. All right, Dracula is making a comeback with 3 in a row, and he's on fire, I guess.
Oh my! He's on fire!
All right, 2 questions left in history, and we're moving to current affairs. All right, so chapter 5. New question. This has never shown up before. First time this ever showed up. So remember what I said. There are usually new questions from chapter 5. So keep an eye on that. All right. 6 people got this wrong. Barbie Girl is by Aqua. And apparently those guys are the best-selling Danish pop group ever. And there is a Barbie movie, so they're making a comeback, actually. Anyways, 6 people got this wrong. Now you know what you don't know. Maybe this might show up again, given that this Barbie movie is out now. Next one. Okay, so last history question. Okay, so they're asking about how has the Dowpen period, if you lose your job, how has that developed over the years? In the beginning, I think you could be unemployed for 7 years and still be receiving Dowpen, and then that dropped to I can't remember, was it 5, 4? I can't remember, but it dropped, and now it dropped to 2 years, and now it's 1 year. So it just keeps getting shorter and shorter. And I think this was one of the reforms that they did to encourage people to stay in employment. This is a brand new question, or was a brand new question at the time. This test had, I think, about 10, 11, 12, 13 brand new questions. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I should show you guys this right now. Maybe I'll show you guys later, the analysis. Because I do analyses of each and every single one of these tests, and to see how many questions showed up that were new, how many were frequently asked. And in one of the sessions, I'll show you that breakdown. And the reason I'll show you these numbers is so you can kind of prepare yourself for what could come next. Particularly this, the most recent test had 10 new questions. And actually, the most recent test was super easy compared to the other ones. This November 2022 test had, I think, 19 or 18 new questions, and a lot of people actually failed this test. In any case, we're done with history. We're moving to current affairs. Let's see what this top 5 is looking like. Okay, as predicted, Tanker is at number 1. We've got Lonnie, Lily, Sonia, and Luca. From number 2 to number 5, Rashid is making a comeback with 3 in a row. He's on fire.
Oh my! He's on fire!
All right, we're about to move into current affairs. So current affairs follows a certain set theme. As we go through the questions, I will be discussing the theme. And the reason I'll be discussing the theme is so that you keep an eye out in the news to see if any news items actually fit the theme. Okay, let's see what the next one is. All right. Everyone should know the answer to this. Except 5 people. Well, the theme here is this. Danish sports excellence on the world stage. Okay, so if a Danish individual, in this case Jonas Vingegaard, wins a major world tournament, or if a Danish team wins a major world tournament, or during the Olympic year, if a Danish individual or team wins the gold medal, that is highly likely to show up in the test. Coincidentally, this guy won Tour de France yet again. So it's highly likely that we're going to see this yet again. All right, moving on to the next one. Tanker, oh, well, nothing's happening in this top 5, so we'll just move right along. All right, so the theme of this is political parties and their leaders. So make a list of all the political parties in parliament at the moment. Also make a list of their leaders and the year that they were created. There is a quiz on the site. Let me see. So under current affairs, you will see the quiz called Denmark Political Parties and Their Leaders. And this covers that theme, all right? So moving on. In this case, Denmark's Demokraterne was created in 2022 by Inger Støjberg. She used to be the minister, minister, and she created a whole bunch of laws that tightened the immigration policy in Denmark. However, she broke the law. She was sentenced to jail. She came back, created this party, and now she's back in parliament. All right, moving on to the next one. All right, so Sonia got on the podium at the last minute. Lily fell. Luca is holding that number 5 spot. 3 players lost the answer streak of 3. Sorry, guys. On to the next one. So, the theme of this, doesn't matter if you got this right or wrong, the theme of this is basically some major events that happened that affects Denmark. An example of something like how do you say this? I keep forgetting the English words. There was the fields. Word in English. Where the guy was shooting people in fields, that showed up in the test. This, the Nord Stream 1 and 2 gas pipes exploded in Östersund. So that showed up in the test. An example of something recently is like they found some Russian ships actually went through Danish waters, and some Russian planes flew through Danish airspace. So these things have shown up in the news. I don't think those are going to show up, but keep an eye out for those types of sabotage. Yes, keep an eye out for those things, for those types of things in the news, because they are relevant for the test. Bear in mind, there's only 5 current affairs questions, and you have to keep scanning and scanning and scanning the news for like hundreds of new news items out of which only 5 of them will show up. So, you know, there are like different probabilities. But anyways, as we keep going, you start seeing the pattern. Moving on to the next one. Lily took her spot back. Next one. Okay, elections. Yes, so forgetting elections, Denmark has one of the highest election participation in the world, and it's usually around 80 to 90%. So this was kind of like a no-brainer. It's also in the book, so this is kind of like a trick question. If you read the book, then you definitely know the answer to this. The theme of this question is elections, so some kind of elections that happened. November 2022 was the August, so that showed up in the test. There haven't been any elections this year, so there will be no election questions. You can just leave that out. All right, next one. Last current affairs. I gave this away. Well, if you guys were paying attention, I gave this away. Let's see who was paying attention. All right, 49 people were paying attention and 5 people weren't. So in Fields, there was a mass shooting. Some dude with a hunting gun went in there and was shooting people. Like I said, this is something similar to the thing that happened in Östersund. So some kind of big crisis on the national scene. That is the theme. I don't know anything that's happened recently apart from what I've mentioned already, but keep an eye out for those types of big events, big unusual events. All right, so this is the end of current affairs. We're moving to Danish values. I will not be doing a lot of explanation of the Danish values. Just keep in mind that they are very simple questions, very common sense questions. Sometimes the Danish used in those questions can be a bit tricky. So read the question slowly. The answer is either yes or no. Moving on. Okay, so at the moment we have Tanka, Lani, Sonia, Lily, and Luca. It looks like the competition is between Sonia and Lily. Sonia is leading Lily by only 20 points. So any little mistake by Sonia is going to kick her right out of the top 5. Basically, any mistake by anybody in the top 5, except Tanka, will kick them right out. Mash is back in the game with 3 in a row.
Oh my! He's on fire!
We've got 5 questions left, and we're done with this. I will be doing, well, as we get closer to the exam, I'll be doing a session focused solely on Danish values. All right. 43 people got this wrong, 11 people, sorry, 43 people got this right, 11 people got this wrong. If you don't want to wait for that session, you can go to YouTube and search for Nearly Danish TV, and you will see. So have a look. I think it's one of the most popular videos. Yeah. So have a look at this session on YouTube discussing Danish values, and it, you know, I try to, you know, look through and see if there are any patterns, and there are actually patterns, and the questions are now beginning to repeat themselves. So have a look at that if you don't want to wait until I get to it. All right, moving on to the next one. This is weird, man. When I read this, I was like, huh? But then it made sense later. Yes, so it's illegal. Underage sex is illegal, and if you're older than 15 and you're having sex with someone 15 or under, you're committing a crime. So that's what this question is about. And like I said, the Danish that they use in these questions can be quite tricky. So some people thought this was actually is it legal to rent to rent an apartment or to rent with someone under the age of 15, and they screwed this up. So yeah, 3 players lost the answer streak of 3. Sorry guys. All right, on to the next one. We've got 2 questions left and we're done with this. This is a no-brainer. Let's see how you guys do. All right, it is illegal to hit your spouse, whether it's a man or a woman. That's what this question is about. Like I said, read the question slowly, make sure you understand the questions, and then you go ahead and answer, okay? Moving on to the next one. Static top 5. Actually, no, it's not static. Luca has jumped over Lily and Sonia and taken the number 3 spot at the last minute. Round of applause, man. Rezan is back in the game with 3 in a row.
Oh my! He's on fire!
We've got 2 questions to go. All right. Is it possible for someone that has changed the gender, someone over the age of 18, to get a new CPR number if they change their gender? The answer is yes, in Denmark. All right, last one. SH is back in the game 3 in a row.
Excellent.
Last question. This question repeated itself. So it's shown up twice in the tests. All right, 6 people got this wrong. For the rest of you, now you know what you don't know. This could show up again. This has shown up twice. So keep an eye out for this. It might show up again. All right. Let's have a look at the podium and then let's see how everyone else did. We've got Luca at number 3. Came through at the last minute. We've got Lonnie at number 2. And of course, Tanker at number 1. Don't leave yet. Let us have a look at your results. We've got Sonia and Lily 4 and 5. Well done.